Welcome to We the People, brought to you by the League of Women Voters of Minneapolis. My name is Joan Higginbotham, and I'll be your host for this evening's program. Well, it's almost November tonight, and if you are listening to this show right before the elections, you still have time to vote. But maybe you haven't registered, or maybe you don't know where to go to vote. We are going to answer all of those questions for you tonight so that you, on November 6th, can go to the polls and vote. Our guest this evening is Grace Wachler-Rowitz, and she is the Director of Minneapolis Elections and Voter Services, so she can certainly answer all of our questions. So it is November 6th.
Yes, it is.
That's the first Tuesday after the first Monday of the month.
You have it correct. It's a little technical that way. The primary is easy. It's always the second Tuesday of August, but you had it correct with the second Monday.
Good.
The Tuesday.
Right. First, and so now we're taping this in October, so it's probably by the time this broadcasts, it'll be too late to register to vote because you have to do that 15 or 20 days.
That is correct. The deadline to pre-register is October 19th. All that means is that if you register in advance, your name is going to be on the roster. So when you go to vote at your polling location, you can check in because your name is there.
October 19th?
Yes.
Okay, so there is a little time.
A little time, depending upon when this is aired.
Right.
However, there is no worry, because we have same-day registration here in the state of Minnesota. So with your appropriate documents, you can still register and vote at the same time in the polling location or even voting early.
Oh, you can vote early. Oh, you can. Okay, so you, even though if you're not registered now, like by the 16th or 19th, did you say?
16th, you were right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If you're not registered by the 16th and you want to early vote, when you can go to one of those places where you can do that and bring all the documentation you need, and then you can register then and vote that day.
That is correct. Okay. Early voting, which is in person or through the mail. When we look up your information, if you were not registered at all, or if you had moved, you can provide the correct documents, which I'm sure we'll be talking about shortly. But you will complete that registration form and vote at the same time. So it's convenient to pre-register, but if not, no worries. You still will be able to vote.
Now, this is the thing, as an election judge, the kinds of things that you need to have to be able to register to vote at the polling place are?
The easiest is a current ID. Your driver's license or Minnesota ID that has your current address.
Right, that yellow sheet, if you've just changed, that's still okay, isn't it?
That is correct.
So you have
your receipt.
Current address, and that could be your driver's license. Is there any other?
That's the simplest.
That's just the one thing
you could use that if your driver's license or Minnesota ID is current with your current address. If you just recently moved and you did change it with the DMV, yes, that receipt is still valid, but sometimes you don't have time to do that either.
Right.
So the state provides many options for you. Very simply, your old DL with your incorrect address will still work. Then you need a second form of identification to verify where you live so that you're in the right polling location. And that could be a current bill, electric, your phone bill, something that has your name, your current address, and is valid within 30 days of the election to show that you actually live there. And what's really nice about it is you can have it, the paper form, that paper bill, but so many people do their business electronically.
Exactly right, yes.
So you can bring your phone and show us that bill on your phone, and that still is valid.
It still is?
Yes.
Okay.
So those are the easiest.
Right. But you so two, the driver's license with your correct address, otherwise two forms.
One with your picture, so to speak.
Oh, one does have to be,
to identify who you are, so to speak. So that could be a driver's license with the incorrect address. It could even be an out-of-state driver's license if you just recently moved here into the state and still have met the 20-day requirement to vote here. So that's one form. And then the second form is to verify your address. And that most often is various types of bills.
Now, as I recall, and this was a surprise to me, if you have moved from one apartment in the building to another, you still have to re-register.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is the most common misunderstanding.
I didn't know that until I was an election judge.
Yes.
And I felt so badly for people who then had to get in another line.
Yes. Even moving from apartment number, same building, same address, but a different number is because you don't live at that address anymore, at that apartment number.
Right.
So you do have to re-register. One thing that's nice about that is if you're already registered, you can actually re-register using your previous registration as valid ID.
Okay.
Because you're already in the books. You already are eligible to vote in that precinct. We're just updating your address so it is accurate. So that is an option as well.
Yeah.
Another option that is commonly used is what's called vouching.
Yes.
So if you know someone, your new neighbors, for example, that know that you live there, you come and go every day, enter and exit your home, and they are also registered in the same precinct, they can come with you and vouch or certify that you are eligible to vote at that residence.
Do you still have to provide some kind of other form of identification? Vouching
No. Vouching is
enough.
completing the form, and this person is attesting that you
Right.
actually do live at that particular address.
Now, I know there's something technical about how many people a person can vouch for. Is that true?
That is correct. It's up to 8. And we do track it in the polls. So if there's a lot of people in your community that have recently moved, just make sure that those who are assisting you, it's spread out so that one person can do 8 at a time.
Yeah, it would be like a family or something
Exactly.
like that. That would make it difficult. Well, so that means you can do all these things on the day of the election at the polling place, or you can do it when you come in early to vote.
Correct.
At one of those places as well.
Correct.
So that's great news.
Yes, we try to make it as easy as possible to enable everyone who wants to vote that opportunity.
Now, one thing you said that we sort of slipped right by, if you have moved here, or if you have moved within 20 days of the election, and you want to register to vote?
That's for individuals who have moved into the state.
Into the state.
Into the
So if you
state.
move from one place in Minnesota to another, then you still can...
There's no timeline per se on that.
Well, that's good to know.
If you come from a different state, the only requirement is that you have been a resident of the state of Minnesota for 20 days. So
Good.
that's just one of that, and you're over 18
Right, yes.
and a citizen.
Great, good, that's good. And I know that it is a felony to lie on that form.
That is correct. When you are signing all those documents, you are affirming or attesting that it is true under penalty of the law if it is not.
Yeah,
that
so
is
it's
correct.
really, I mean, you have to take it seriously because it's right there at the top of the form that says, you can't lie about this.
That is correct.
So people really need to be careful. Well, now you said that we would have early extended hours for early voting, and you have a little form there that you can hold up and...
Before I get to that, can I
Oh, sure.
kind of give you a little blurb as far as the different options you have voting early?
Oh, sure.
Okay, because it's very, there's 2 different ways in which
I
you
see,
can
I
vote
didn't
for
know that,
early.
so this is good. I'm learning something too.
The first way is by mail.
Oh, right, it's like an absentee.
Both are voting early.
Yes.
And it's, the state of Minnesota calls it absentee. Nationwide, it is considered voting early because you're casting that ballot, you're submitting that voted ballot before Election Day. So you're voting early.
Early voting.
So it's a technical difference in verbiage. So yes, it is absentee voting, whether it's by mail or by in person, or the common nationwide term is voting early. So it gets a little confusing when you look at the news and national news, they use different terms. So basically they're one and the same in that a voter has the opportunity to complete their ballot in advance of Election Day.
And if you do it by mail,
It's very simple. There are forms you need to fill out.
yes, I know that, that's, okay, what do
And
we have
if
to
you
do?
go to our website, vote.minneapolismn.gov, everything you need to know about voting, what we talk about today, and more, is on our website. So on our website, under absentee voting, you can click on a link so that you can apply for an absentee ballot by mail. We receive that application, process it, and then we send you the ballot with instructions, and you can vote in the comfort of your home
You give
whenever
to
you
the
want to
witness, though,
complete it.
don't you?
After you have completed that, yes, you do need a witness that is eligible to vote, and all they are doing is certifying that you voted that ballot.
Right. So you can, and they sign it too.
They sign it,
Yeah.
that is correct. And they also are your witness if you need to register at the same time, that they have viewed the documents.
So you can, oh my goodness, so you can vote absentee, and you can do and you can register to
At
vote.
the
and
same
I suppose you
time.
put them both in the same
In the same
envelope.
envelope, mail it back to us. If it's too close to the election, we encourage that you give at least a 7-day turnaround time to make sure that we get that ballot in the mail by Election Day so it is counted. If you're worried that the mailman's not going to get it to us in time, you have two other options. You can drop it off at City Hall,
Oh, at City Hall.
your voted ballot, or if you know someone who is going downtown, they can drop off your ballot on your behalf.
Oh, okay.
So there's various ways you can get
And
that
it has to be at
ballot.
City Hall, and there's a big sign someplace that says ballots here or something like
Yes,
that?
it's in room 201, and we will accept that ballot to make sure that it gets processed and your vote counts on Election Day.
Right. So that's absentee or
That's by
early
mail.
voting.
Yeah, I know it's confusing,
Early voting
isn't
by
it?
mail.
Early voting by mail.
A new term for me.
Yes.
Okay, now the other form of early voting,
Is in person, and that's where a lot of people think of early voting, is
Yeah.
when it's in person, because you actually go to our facility, our early vote center, which is open for 46 days before the election, so it's open now during business hours
Okay.
as we speak. You come in,
now where is it though? Is
it's at 317, sorry about that, too many addresses.
Downtown is-
Downtown, 217.
No, okay, third.
217 3rd Avenue, 3rd Street South. It's
Okay.
kitty corner from City Hall.
Okay, so it's downtown.
Downtown,
217 3rd Street South.
South. Thank
Okay,
you.
early voting center.
And you would complete an application, we would process it, you will receive your ballot specific to you, your precinct. You vote, put it in an envelope, and it's put into a secure ballot box. And then later on, it's processed, and tabulated on Election Day.
Now, I remember, or many of us remember, that we had, when Senator Wellstone passed away, and some people had already voted. And so now you can call it back if it's within a certain length of time or something like that?
That is correct.
I don't think that's going to happen, but just in case, so that I think some people say, well, I don't know if I should vote early, because what if something happens? Well,
You do have that opportunity 7 days before the election. So if you changed your mind, or you made a mistake, you forgot to vote for a particular office, you can contact us, and we call it spoiling the ballot, which means that ballot that we received from you is null and void. It's taken out.
and I would guess from my experience again as an election judge, if you think, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I voted for everybody and I want to make sure, if you went down and to the polling place and voted, then when they got the absentee ballots, they don't count them at the polling place anymore, do they?
We count our absentee ballots at a different location.
So you couldn't, then you couldn't, it would be too late. You couldn't, if you voted in person at the last minute, even though you'd already sent in another ballot, it wouldn't work.
We document when we receive your voted ballot.
Right. And
whether it was received in the mail or if you voted in person. So if you do go to the polls on that day and we have it documented that you did submit a ballot, there will be a notation next to your name saying, sorry, you already voted. We already received it.
That's good to know. So people
Yes.
can't, so you can't change your mind at the last minute.
You can't double vote.
No, well, that's good.
Yes, that is the secure process that we have to ensure that one ballot, one vote, one person.
Now, how many people voted early last time around in 16, do you know? Was it like thousands of people?
60,000.
60,000 people.
25%
Wow.
of our total ballots cast were done early, either through mail or in person.
Wow. Now, you've got some times there when you can go to those voters' early vote centers.
Yes, as I mentioned, we have the one site open now, but as we get closer to the election, we do extend our hours to give all voters the opportunity to vote, because not everyone has the ability to come in person 8 to 4:30. So the 2 weeks before the election, we extend our hours, and what is really exciting is the week before the election, we are opening 3 additional sites just for the last week before the election.
Wow. Well, if you had 60,000 people last time.
So we want to make sure that we can bring the ballot box to the people and make it as accessible as possible.
Wow.
So starting on October 30th, we will have 4 locations open for in-person early voting.
Starting October 30th.
Yes, and I do have the locations listed so that people, it'll be on our website, it'll be on social media, but if they want to write this down or have an idea, starting October 30th, these will be our new sites that'll be open. Our existing site, the downtown, which is the EVC located on 217 3rd Street South, and then the additional 3 sites open for that last week is the north location, which is the Minneapolis Urban League location, 2700 Plymouth Avenue North. Our east location is actually at the U of M.
Oh, good idea.
The field house, which is 1800 University Avenue Southeast. And then our south location is located at Regents Assembly, 810 West 31st Street. So a lot of opportunities for individuals.
Really good. Well, if you had that many people voting last time, I'm sure you'll
We
have
expect it.
a lot of people.
And if I may, now that you know the locations, I'll kind of share with you the extended hours. Now, as I noted, we do the full 2 weeks. So it actually starts on Monday, October 22nd. During the week, we will be open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then that Saturday, 9 to 4. That Sunday, 12 to 5. And then the following week, it's the same hours, but again, just to note, October 30th is when the additional 3 sites will be open, and they will be open for the same hours, weekdays 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that final weekend, 9 to 4 Saturday, and 12 noon to 5. And then also the day before the election. So a lot of opportunities for individuals to cast their ballot.
Wonderful. Because, one of the things that we always talk about is the fact that in some countries they have a holiday for voting, so people can vote, or in some places we said, well, why don't we vote on Saturdays or Sunday? And now this is, basically, that's what's happening now.
People have different schedules, different commitments, different work schedules, and we want to accommodate as many people as we can with the flexibility with the hours.
It'll be interesting to see how many people take advantage of all these opportunities. It's great.
It's exciting. I can tell you, as of today, which is filming on October 10th, we've already mailed out 17,000 mail absentee ballots.
Oh, wow.
It is record-breaking. We are in line with what we did in the 2016 presidential election.
And usually it's a downturn. There's fewer,
Exactly.
so that's really amazing.
So, yeah, we are breaking all records. For a midterm election, we're preparing as if it's a presidential.
Oh, good.
We want to make sure that we have the staff and the capacity to serve all our citizens here in Minneapolis.
And you have enough trained election judges so that you're ready to go?
Yes, we have many. We have classes going on now. We are still accepting applications.
Up until what date?
Probably about October 25th is about the end
So
date.
this may be,
because
you
we
may
need
be
the
still in
classes.
time if you want to do
Yeah.
that.
Our ultimate goal, in which we will always consider applicants, are those with second language skills. And our ultimate goal is that every polling location actually reflects the community served. So those that can assist us in that respect, we will certainly take that consideration.
Make it happen.
Make it happen,
Great.
exactly.
That's good. Well, now, we talked about the voting per se, but now we have to know who to vote for. And you said every household in Minneapolis is going to get a voter guide?
Yes. It should be in everybody's home on October 30th or 31st. We provide a voter guide with all the information that you need to know.
Oh, really?
As far as where to vote, where your location is, more information on what we just talked about with the early vote sites, how to find your precinct or polling location. You can also access your sample ballot online and print it, so you can practice.
Right, I did see
Because that ballot is actually specific to your address.
I did see that. It's amazing.
So if you want to know who's on the ballot
Right.
and who you're going to decide which candidate to choose for, you can see that in advance. You can even fill it in, so all you have to do is copy it when you get to the
Right.
ballot booth.
One thing I think is really helpful, because I don't know all the judges, and I'm sure almost all of them have a website, so that you can, you find two names and you don't know either one of them, you can go and look online and get more information about them too, with those sample ballots.
Yeah, yes, you do know the names.
Yeah.
And right now, if you go to our website, we do have a link called What's on My Ballot, and you can actually call up your ballot right now.
I did do that, yeah. That's
It's
great.
very helpful.
Yeah. Now, so you've got a copy of what's going to come in the mail, so we'll know what to look for.
Yes, it'll be folded like this, and we mail it to every household because we want the accessibility to everyone, not just the registered voters. So that's why we make sure that it's every household, so everyone gets an opportunity to have the information available.
Good, in advance. It's really helpful.
In advance. And it has everything you need to know about elections.
Now, I know that one thing that people have been talking a lot about is the safety of the system.
It's all on our minds. I could talk for hours.
Well, we don't have that much time, but tell us a little bit why we should be comfortable that we are...
We have enough security protocols at the city, county, and state level to secure that your ballot counts, that we have a paper ballot. That is the biggest win for the state of Minnesota.
a verifiable paper trail. The League of Women Voters is very keen on that.
And we do post-election audits, meaning we randomly select precincts and verify what the tabular counted to the hand count. We've been doing that for years and always have been spot on. So it is reliable. What I would strongly encourage our audience to take a look at our website, to a link to our reports, because next week, in fact, on October 17th, we will be presenting to the election committee our plans and preparations for this upcoming election. And we have a whole segment that describes all the efforts, all the details, security protocols to ensure that your ballot will be counted, it is safe and secure, and you can have confidence that the integrity of election is there.
Now, we were not, Minnesota was not hacked the last time around in 2016, was it?
They tried to,
Right, but they weren't successful.
but they were not successful.
That's the most reassuring thing of all.
That is the most reassuring, and after the 2016 election, the Department of Homeland Security identified elections as an important infrastructure. Long story short, we have the federal government assisting us on those internet protocols and ensuring that we are not vulnerable to any type of hacking. So we do have the resources available at all levels.
So that we're pretty comfortable that.
Very comfortable.
Now, I guess we should say what a paper trail is. I was thinking that's the League of Women Voters has talked about that for a long time. But in some places, your vote it's on a computer and there's no paper.
It's called DRE, direct balloting, where you have a computer and you just select your choices and the computer tabulates or collects that data, but there's no paper.
There's no copy.
No ballot
And that's,
that they
and
complete.
that's where the problems sometimes come, because we now can just pull those paper ballots out and count those.
That is correct.
This has been so helpful to all of us as we're thinking about this and what we're going to do coming Election Day. Now, if you're watching this after November 6th, it's too late. You missed your chance to vote. But if you haven't, if it is still before November 6th, please vote. It really does, every vote does count, and you have got the information, and that website, which you'll see on your screen, will give you all the same information, so you should be an informed voter when you get to the polls. Our guest this evening was Grace Wackler-Rhodes, and she is the Director of Minneapolis Elections and Voter Services, and thank you so much for helping us out tonight. This is Joan Higginbotham for the League of Women Voters saying thanks for tuning in to We the People. Good night.